Hello. So it's been a bit since I have been around, and when I say a bit, I mean like over a year since I posted last, and that is for a number of reasons. I have quite a bit to update you all on, but right now we're just going to kind of have a browse at my fruit trees. It is July 31st of 2025. And I am not living at my property currently. I'm not living in my house because it is filled with mold that was making me ill. So that is one of the reasons I haven't made any content. To explain further, basically, in May, which is when I probably last posted, or somewhere around that time when I last posted, in May of last year, here, we'll just go to the garden. I'll record. Okay. So we're looking at my mother's garden, and as you can see, we got a greenhouse, which is really super nice. Her and I went half and half on it, because we really wanted a greenhouse. And so I'll take you in there and I'll show you that as well. But, so yes, to continue the story of what happened to me, in May of 2024, over a year ago, my parents weren't here. They weren't staying here. I was staying here, taking care of their house and looking after their property and their dog, because they were up in the city selling their old property. And I was staying here. My mom had her garden planted, so I was taking care of her garden, and I was going back and forth taking care of my garden, and everything was good. And then one day I came up to check her garden, and she had herbicide contamination, an auxin herbicide contaminated soil, which, long story short, her and I purchased soil from the man that she had purchased soil from the previous year, and it was contaminated with an auxin herbicide. He did not take accountability or responsibility for it whatsoever. So that was really unfortunate. We didn't get our money back. We didn't get anything. We did kind of make it clear to him that if he continued to sell soil to people without disclosing that it was contaminated or could be contaminated, that we were going to let everyone know. And then he subsequently, as far as I can tell, has not tried to sell compost for gardens, which is good. So that happened in May. That was really devastating for me because it was my mom's garden and my garden. And as you guys know, or should know, I suppose, from this YouTube channel, my whole goal in life for the past probably, I would say, 6 or 7 years has been to homestead and grow my own food and have a garden and learn these skills. And so having that happen to me like 4 years into, probably like 3 years into serious gardening was really unfortunate. So I was going back and forth between here and my house, and I'm trying to figure out how to condense this and keep it small or short because there's a lot that went on. But basically, I'm moving back and forth between two properties. We're more than we're about 30 minutes apart from each other, so I'm driving probably an hour every day, especially on the days that my husband was working, because I went home to go take care of my chickens and whatever. So the garden thing happened. I kind of had to surrender my garden for the year, and I had accepted that. My parents finally came back home full time I want to say in like early July. So July, I'm at home full time, and I was home for, well, it was probably closer to mid-July. I was home for about a month and a half. So the beginning of September rolls around, and I'm at this point trying to get some stuff done. I'm trying to like get my kitchen finished out. Like, what I had shelves that I was going to put up, and so I was trying to do that and put up the shelves. And I started getting sick. I thought I had a cold. You know, I had a stuffy nose. I didn't feel very good. Was really tired. You know, just cold-like symptoms. And so I'm thinking, I just got some weird cold. It's probably because I've been doing a lot this year and I'm, you know, tired. I'm going to take you in the greenhouse while I'm talking about this and just show you what we got going on in here, which isn't a ton, but... Oh! Sorry about that. Okay. And the fan's running, so it's probably going to be noisy, but... Yes, so... I started feeling sick. I started not feeling well, and I was just like, oh, I must have a cold. And I had it for about a week, and I'm like, it's very unusual for me to feel this bad for more than a week. So I thought, oh, that's not normal. That's not right. Something's going on. But I just kind of was like, well, maybe it's just a really prolonged cold. I kept feeling worse and worse and worse. And then I ended up discovering that when I would leave my house for the day and like go out for like the whole day, like if me and my mom went somewhere or went to like shopping or whatever, or went to the city and went to Costco or whatever for like the day, and I came home, I was starting to realize that I was feeling better when I went out of my house. And that started alarm bells started going off in my head about that, because I'm like, that's not normal. I shouldn't feel better when I leave my house unless it's my house that is causing me to feel ill. And I pretty quickly figured that out. And then when I started researching that, the first thing that comes up and the most prominent thing that comes up is mold. And I'm like, well, and I had thought back to late June, I want to say, when I was still staying at my parents' house. My husband mentioned that there had been like some dark spots growing on our ceiling, and I thought, well, that's probably mold, but why would there be mold on the ceiling? So when I came back from my parents' house, I identified the spot, and it was, so when we redid our kitchen, there's a hole in the ceiling because whoever did that kitchen before did not do it well. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. So there was a hole in the ceiling, and we had found towels that had been stuffed inside that hole in the ceiling, and we took them out, and we were going to board it back up and cover it up and whatever, but we never got around to it because in 2023, when all of that happened, my dad's cancer, that was, I don't think I've discussed this prominently on here, so I guess I need to make mention of this. I'm sorry, I'm just walking around the tomatoes. I'm sorry, this is really boring to watch, but I'm just trying to record this before I have to go do stuff. Basically in 2023, at the end of 2023, so my kitchen blew up in like July of 2023. Like my stove broke and a bunch of stuff broke, and I had to get it fixed, so I just decided to like get new appliances, redo that part of the kitchen. So we did that. We took out like the cabinets, which weren't actually cabinets, they were furniture. Like somebody had taken weird old furniture pieces and cobbled them together to make cabinets out of. So that was really weird. But we took that all apart, redid my kitchen. We were going to put up floating shelves, and we were going to close up this hole on the ceiling. And long story short, in 2023, that did not occur because we were working on this. I can't remember when the like last part of us working on the kitchen was. I want to say it was in September-ish. And then other things were going on with my dad, because my dad has a super rare form of cancer called folliculotropic mycosis fungoides. We believe he got it from Roundup usage. So this is another reason I am very like anti-chemical on top of like what happened in my garden and all these things. Anyway, so he has a super, super rare form of cancer. And so he was having to do some more treatments, and he was doing like a chemo treatment. And so he was not feeling well. So we were kind of taking a break from it and giving him some time. Well, then December of 2023 happened, and December of 2023 was like the worst month of my life, okay? So when I worked for my parents at the group home, I worked in the group home for, I worked for them for 15 years, and I grew up with the whole business because before my parents had it, my grandparents had it. So, this person that I took care of, he passed away at the beginning of December of 2023. We didn't know about it. Nobody told us until like, I don't know, I want to say it was like a week after he died, and we didn't even know he was ill. Like, so it was very hard because he was basically like family. I had known him my whole life. My dad knew him since he was 10 years old. So yeah, that was really hard. So that was the first thing that happened in December. And during this time, mind you, this was when everything was going on with my dog Whiskey. If you go reference my EPI video, you can get all the full context of that. But basically she started losing weight rapidly and having diarrhea in like November, I think, of 2023. And so the whole time that all of these other things are going on in context, my dog is like rapidly losing weight. She looks skeletal. She looks like she's dying, all this stuff. So that was another added stressor. So my dad, it was, let me think about this. I think it was 5 days before Christmas. My dad, basically, long story short, my mom rushed him to the emergency room because she thought that he had an infection, and she was correct. He had necrotizing fasciitis, which, if you don't know what necrotizing fasciitis is, it is a flesh-eating bacteria. And if you get necrotizing fasciitis, usually people die from it because it happens and works really, really quickly. You have to have like emergency surgery. They have to cut out the part of you that has this infection in order to get rid of it. And usually they have to go in multiple times and do multiple surgeries. And my dad was lucky that he only had to have one surgery. But so at 4:00 in the morning, like 5 days before Christmas in December of 2023, my dad had to have emergency surgery. We thought he was going to die. It was really scary. And I should also make mention at this time, my husband had, like, right before my dad went in to the hospital, my husband had COVID, but we didn't know it was COVID. And we found out because he didn't have a sense of taste, so my mom did like a test on him, because at this time my dad was doing chemotherapy and we didn't really want to expose him to anybody who was sick. Well, my husband he didn't act like he had felt that sick, but he was feeling better, and then he mentioned that he couldn't taste, so my mom gave him a test. He tested positive. And then during the time that my father was having this surgery, I was sick with COVID. So I couldn't go to the hospital and see him. I couldn't do anything to help my family. I was just sick, and I had to just accept that, and that was really hard. That was a hard time. So anyway, that happened. He survived, but he ended up having to have, like, my mom had to pack his wound for a long time, and then she had to learn how to do a wound vac, which she was uniquely equipped for. My mom learned a lot of things from the group home that assisted her, and something like this was literally a part of God's plan, because nobody else would have been more equipped to do that for him except for her. So she learned how to do the wound vac. He had a wound vac for like 8 months while I was staying here in 2023 or 2024, while my parents were, my parents were working on the house, he had the wind vacuum, okay, during this time frame. So anyway, December of 2023 was really rough time. All of that to say, that is why my kitchen did not get done. Now, to go back to the point that brought the kitchen up, and I may edit some of this out, I don't know. The hole in the ceiling did not get patched up. I believe the hole in the ceiling is what caused the mold to get so intense that it made me ill. Because I believe that the mold, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I believe the mold had been there since I bought the property. So here's the deal. I started getting sick. I figured out pretty quickly within 2 weeks of me being sick that it was mold. I told my husband. I was really upset because I knew what that meant. I knew that if my mold was making me sick, that I couldn't live in the house. And that was frustrating. Oh, and I guess, hold on, I gotta go back. At the very tail end of 2023, on New Year's, in fact, my cat died. And the cat connects to the mold because I believe the reason my cat died was because the mold killed her. I have since spoke to professionals involved in this field, and they have told me cats are like the canary in the coal mine. If you have mold in your house and your cat is sick or acting weird or dies suddenly or whatever, like ours did, it could be mold because they're the canary in the coal mine, and children too. So if you have children, they will get sick first usually. But anyway, I got sick. My husband wasn't really sick, but we ended up moving into my parents' craft room. And that is where we are currently living. So it's a little room. We have our computers in there on mine's on a fold-up table. His is on a little desk. And we have a twin-size bed that has a trundle underneath, and that is what we're sleeping on. And I have both my dogs with me. I will say, with Murphy, my weenie dog, she was very itchy right before we moved in here, and I think that was from the mold. And then when we moved in here, she stopped having that, and I had a lot of weird symptoms as well, but I'll get into all of that kind of detail in another video and just talk about the mold itself. But long story short, we found out that we had mold in our house. We had to move into my parents' property, or into my parents' spare craft room, and so we're living here with them currently still in, I guess tomorrow will be August of 2025. And we found out, so when we moved out, we had a guy come out and called him. He told us it was only going to be $3,000 to fix the mold and this, that, and the other thing, and he didn't act like it was that big of a deal. I wasn't comfortable with that after all the research that I had done, and so I he told me I needed to clean all of my stuff, so we did start doing that. And I knew that I was going to have to move most of my stuff out of the house anyway to have remediation done, so I just went ahead and started packing my things up and putting them in our sheds. And so we started that process in sometime probably November or December of 2024. I'm not entirely sure. And then, we had a lot of it's very weather dependent because I couldn't really stay in the house. I probably shouldn't have been going into the house, but I couldn't stay in the house. I don't go in the house anymore. But at that time I would go in and bring stuff out. I was still getting sick, and I got some suggestions from a friend of ours that has dealt with mold exposure, and she was very helpful to me in a lot of ways. But I got some suggestions, started doing some of the things she told me to do. I started to feel better once I stopped going into the house. When I was still going into the house, I was feeling sick all the time. So yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I need to specifically put in here. March, we had a professional mold inspector come out, and he was going to do a full inspection of the house. He was going to show me or give us a full report, test the kinds of mold, all this stuff, and whatever. And he got there, and we were just hanging out outside because we didn't want to go in the house. And so we were doing work outside. I was like cutting stuff out. And we ended up finding out within 30 minutes he came out and he was like, I just wanted to talk to you guys. And so he came out and told us that every single wall in our house was full of mold, every single one, and that it had likely been there for the whole time that we owned the property, and that it would be more trouble and more money to try and fix it than to just get rid of the house. Basically, the house is like condemnable, is essentially what he told us, and we would have to get rid of it and start over. So that was incredibly devastating, especially because I try to make myself as debt free as possible. It's important to me, and part of buying this property and moving here was to be a part of that. And so like I was just really devastated, and so for like about a month I couldn't work towards things that I needed to work towards because I was just so devastated. And then I started making a plan, and so the plan has been for probably since May, maybe like mid-April. The plan has been to get all of our stuff out of the house and have somebody come take it off. So what ended up happening was we were still working on getting things out of the house. We called someone to see if they would, because our house is a double wide mobile home. And so we thought, okay, well, if it's a double wide mobile home, we can get somebody to come take it off. So we called somebody. He said he would take it off, but it wasn't worth it to him to have to move it twice. So he needed to sell it to somebody directly and then come pick it up and take it straight to them. And I'm not really super comfortable with this because I don't really want to sell this to somebody, but I told him as long as the full disclosure of the fact that it is completely filled with mold is given, I don't really care. I just want to make sure people are aware of the situation. And so he told us that we needed to get everything out, clean it, which I don't know how much cleaning he actually wants us to do because I am not going in there. And then to get all of, we have to pull the deck off and pull out all the bushes. So tomorrow we are supposed to go move all of the rest of like my appliances and furniture out of the house. My brother and my husband will be doing that. We have to wear respirator masks when we go in the house. I try not to go in there unless I absolutely have to, and I will not go in that house without a respirator mask. My husband went in there for a few hours one day without one while we were trying to work on moving some stuff, and he was sick for 2 weeks, like really sick. So it's not good. But yeah, so anyway, we are getting the rest of our stuff out, and then we have to pick a day to pull the deck off, pull the bushes out, and then call the guy, have him come take pictures. Hopefully somebody will purchase it quickly and we can get rid of it so that we can then put something else there. It's going to be a process, and it's going to be very much unfinished because I want to stay as debt free as possible. I think we're going to have to take on a little bit of a loan in order to make this happen, but I believe we can either purchase a prefab building from like the Amish and finish out most of it ourselves or with some help, or we have been in contact with a man who would be willing to build something to our specifications and leave it unfinished so that we don't have to pay as much money, and then finish it out over time as funds allow. That's our plan. So it's been a rough ride. We've been here almost a year at my parents' house. So the reason I haven't been on YouTube and haven't posted anything is because I have been in a situation and I have been trying to figure out how to deal with it. We are trying to get this going. And I'm going to try and take you along for this process. I also want to share more information about mold in houses because much like the EPI video that I made about whiskey, there is so very little information available on YouTube that I was able to find from actual real people discussing this problem. Anyway, my mold inspector, for example, he told me, because my husband asked him when he told us that our house was basically like totally lost and we couldn't save it. My husband asked him, how often do you see something like a case like this? And he said 2 to 3 times a week. And I have read statistics online that suggest that 50% of the households in the United States have a mold problem. Not just have mold, because everybody has mold. Mold is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. It is going to be in your house. It's not that the mold existing is the problem. It's that your house has a mold problem, meaning it has too much mold or mold growing where it shouldn't be or whatever. I believe this is because of the way we build things. But, you know, there's a lot I could discuss about the mold, and I will make more videos about it because, as I said, it's like the EPI issue for me. I made my EPI video because I couldn't find another comprehensive informational video on YouTube regarding EPI at the time, and I really, really was struggling trying to find resources and help from someone, and I really needed that. And so I feel the same way about the mold, and I want to be able to provide information and resources and stuff to people. And, you know, it is a devastating thing. My first house had foundation issues, and I thought that was the worst possible thing that could happen to you. I was wrong. Mold is worse. My whole house is destroyed. Insurance did not cover it. We had insurance come check. That was not a thing that was going to happen. So anyway, this has been gotten really long-winded. I'm going to have to edit a whole bunch of this out and just cut it up. But I want to start sharing again. I'm having a hard time deciding what to share because I don't have my own garden. The garden I've been walking through, this is my mom's garden, which if you saw it before, these garden beds, we remade them. These were her old garden beds. They were twice as long, so it was like 2 of these in one. And we remade them into squares and completely redid her garden, built some garden beds similar to mine. And we did this because her soil, which is back there, and it has that's where all those weeds are, like ooh, right there in that pile. All those weeds, that is where her contaminated soil is. It's probably okay now because it's been like 2 years. My garden, I've just let grown up for 2 years. It's just full of weeds, and we're going to pull them all out and mulch really, really heavily over winter and hope that the garden is usable in the spring, and hopefully in the spring I will be able to be there. Another issue with this is we've lost almost all of our chickens because we're not home, and we were originally going to move them here, but then we had a disagreement about that. So once we decided we knew we were keeping the place, we just decided to leave the chickens and just let it be. So it is what it is. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot happening. A lot has happened to me that has put a damper on me wanting to make content, because honestly, if I'm not sharing homesteading content, because I'm not going to be, because I'm not homesteading that much right now. I mean, I'm not personally gardening. I'm helping my mom with her garden, which she has lots of tomatoes, and this is great. It's wonderful. And we have a source of rabbit manure that we are going to put in here to help fertilize, which is really super great. We got a good source of clean soil from a neighbor, which is also super great. And, you know, next season we're going to build out, there's 3 more beds here that we're going to build out this way. And I believe we have another one of these square beds. This one's not filled because it's full of weeds. And we're going to get this all filled out, and she's going to have more gardening space. And hopefully by next spring I will have my garden back. But it just depends on how quickly. I mean, it has been an incredibly slow process. And it's mainly because I can't go in the house. I can't go in the house. And so I can't pack up my stuff inside the house. So it has to be outside the house. And so between all of the rain that we've received, if it's raining when we can go work, I can't go because it's raining. I can't, all my stuff's gonna get wet. And then if, this last 2 weeks, it's been like 98 degrees, so we didn't go. So tomorrow it's supposed to be 82, and I have a U-Haul rented because my parents have a trailer that we can use, but my parents had to go out of town because of my dad's cancer. It's a crazy situation. There's so much happening. I'm trying really hard to make everything work, but I want to start making videos again because I was really trying to post at least a couple of times a month. I was aiming to post once a week, and I was trying to do that, and then all of this stuff happened, and my stress just went through the roof, and I couldn't do anything about it, and so it's just been a lot. So I have some videos of posting about, or videos I took from the garden with the Grazon or imidacloprid or auxin herbicide, whatever you want to call it, contamination, to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to post that. I'm going to post probably this first. I'm very sorry that I don't have anything better to film. I need to start figuring out how to set myself up to film myself. But right now I'm hot and sweaty and gross, and I'm not doing that. So anyway, yeah, I want to probably post this to give you like a rough update of everything that's gone on and why I haven't posted anything, where I've been, what I'm trying to do. And because I do want to take you along for my process with rebuilding from this, because like I want people to see that even if you don't have anything hardly, you can rebuild. And like I do also realize I'm in a privileged position in this in a way, because the reason that I have a debt-free piece of property right now is because of a windfall that I received. That is the reason that I was able to purchase my house outright when I purchased it. So I want to caveat with that. However, in our current situation, we do not have much money. And so, like, I'm still not working. I could get a job. I probably should get a job. But I have a whole discussion about that also that I would like to have. So anyway, I need to stop rambling. I have to go in and make dinner. I just want you all to understand and know that I am trying to come back. My content might change. I might be posting weird vlogs of me like antique shopping and thrift shopping because that's where I find a lot of joy in my life. Or stuff about my dogs or whatever. It's just going to be random life content. And, we got a Harvest Right freeze dryer for a really good deal. So we're starting to freeze dry things, and I can show you some of our preservation process and stuff like that in the homesteading realm. But as far as my own garden goes and my property and my chickens, and I never did get goats, obviously, because this whole thing happened. Because my plan was in the fall of last year, fall and winter, I was going to build up a goat pen, and I was going to get goats this spring. And that didn't happen, obviously. So, all of that to say, I have rambled too much. I have shown you these same tomato plants like 87,000 times. I am super sorry about that. But I will return. I will be back and hopefully have more to say and more to share, and it'll be better content than this. I needed to get something recorded to update you and upload this so I could show you, so I could get back on the horse, so to speak. So I'm going to show you the damage from the garden, and then I'm going to sit down and record a proper mold video. I don't have any video of my house, because here's the thing about the house. There's no mold visible other than the mold that appeared on the ceiling that I painted over, because it wasn't that much, and I just thought it was like because the humidity was coming in through that hole in the ceiling anyway. And I do have a video I recorded when I moved in here, and it is very vulnerable, and I was very wounded when I recorded it, but I feel like I need to post that, so I will probably post that as well. and then we will go on from there. So I'll give you my like update content, and then I'm going to start moving forward with new videos, new content. So anyway, I appreciate if anybody's watching this. I know that I don't post very much. I am very glad to see that my EPI video has helped a lot of people. Even like just one person would make me happy, but I've seen several people and had people message me, and I'm so glad that it was helpful. And if you need help with it or need a further conversation, don't hesitate to message me. I can, as long as for some reason I don't get like inundated with messages, but I will be able to help or chat with you about it or whatever. So anyway, thanks for listening to my rant, my TED Talk, and I will hopefully get back to you with better video content than this at some point. Anyway, thanks.